Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to yet another edition of International Forum. I am Wilson Marshall. Like you used to know, on this show, most of the time they go around the world bringing you news and making the rounds. Our first port of call is what happened in the US. Yes, where an ex-student got so, I don't know how to really describe it. It went psychotic. Yes, that might just be the right word to really explain the behavior of the student. Carrying AK-47 revolver, entered his former school and started shooting, moving from one room to the other. The tendency shooting is like, it was like a horror movie. Now, this is not the first time there's this case of reported shooting in schools around the US, where someone would just pick up weapons, and people are asking, what about the gun control that the United States of America being championed by Republicans, it's like, doing? Nobody knows if it's really getting straight to the persons. If not, the incident that happened yesterday won't have happened. Peter, should please just give us the clip of that young man with a gun here. That's it. Not the strike. We're talking about the young man, the shooting. Yes. And it was so scary that schools are now beginning to have fears of really, admitting some students. Yeah, the Nashville school shooting. Yeah, this what really happened. Get to see the young man moving. Now, that was the first shot. Second shot, third shot went through the entrance of the school. As I moved from one classroom to the other. Now, that's the young man there, red heart. People like wondering who gave him this gun, who sold this gun to him. Now, that was security camera that really showed how he went from one classroom to the other. And of course, the head teacher was among the casualty. Now, do you think that with this incident, this is not the first time it's happened, the second time in America? Do you think the gun control bill being championed by the Democrats will see the light of the day? Yeah, that was the weapon the guy used. I mean, it's crazy, and of course, a sidearm pistol. People keep on thinking, what is really going on? What's wrong with the psyche, the mentality of some Americans? The evaluation of those people that are supposed to be carrying guns or license to have guns, is it totally done, completely done? If that's the case, how come we're having this series of rampage by young persons? It's somehow disturbing, very, very disturbing. Now, still from America, other news coming out is the Mississippi tornado, where thousands lost properties. You get to see a county, a city in ruins due to a tornado that, force of nature, but still it was so devastating. This is like one of the worst so far for over a long period of time, because it swept across Mississippi to the extent that thousands were affected. And you get to see the wanton destruction of properties, and many persons were casualties in these natural disasters. I've been talking about it. Even the President Joe Biden has sent his condolences, said it's going to be possible to cushion the effect of the natural disaster that befell this county in Mississippi. All right, people are like saying that the storm may abate or more will come, but right now they sound the alarm that many persons should leave and go for shelter. This tornado was like unprecedented, disastrous force of nature that swept across the city, destroying so many things, rendering people homeless. Many of them, lost their property. Some of them were very, very, disheartened, injured. Some people lost their life in this. Yeah, dozens have been killed in the storm, and you get to see the wanton destruction of lives and properties. Well, our heart goes out to them when modern nature is rampaging. Sometimes I have to pray for mercy from God to really shield us, so to speak. And now finally on the news across the country, let's move straight down to what is happening between Russia and Ukraine. It has gone so tough because the war has spanned above 1 year. Yeah, it started February And now we're now in the month of March, a year, and of course, going to a year and 1 month right now. And Germany, they've decided to send the much-awaited tanks to aid Ukraine in repelling Russia from Ukraine. But Russia made one thing clear. The position tactical, they call it tactical nuclear weapons, yes, in Belarusian boundaries. They are saying that if push comes to shove or they are being pressured to use it, the people will just give the order. And that didn't go down too well with NATO, didn't go down too well with EU, didn't go down too well with the US, but you know Putin, once he makes up his mind to do something, it takes sometimes divinity to prevent him from doing it. Because right now, from what he's saying, they are coming, gathering against him. Don't forget about the jet sent also by Poland to aid Ukraine. Don't forget about the fresh tanks sent also by Germany to aid Ukraine. And Russia threatened that they're going to confiscate the jet fighters. And now with the tanks, and now placing tactical nuclear weapons, so to speak, Belarusian border that is facing Ukraine. Is this the beginning of the Third World War? Now, these are the questions being asked by pundits. And don't forget that this war is quite sensitive in the sense that, according to Russia, they're trying to fight for their survival. They're fighting for their survival. Xi Jinping, the president of China, went to Russia to mediate, you know, the peaceful coexistence of these two countries. Putin said, look, he doesn't have an issue with Ukraine. If they can follow his own, when I say accept his own deal, there'll be peace. But he said the problem is with NATO and the West. And when they fortify the Belarusian border with tactical nuclear weapon, facing, of course, Ukraine, how do you think all this will pan out? Only time will definitely tell. We have so much to tell you about some various news making rounds globally, but we have to focus on the discussion for today, which is political unrest in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu's fate is being, you know, analyzed right now. According to them, he's pushing so hard, he's pushing so far, he's going beyond his reach by tampering with the judiciary vis-a-vis the Supreme Court. He said, with this reform, Supreme Court will not overreach, will not overstep its powers. The Supreme Court will not have the rights to remove any prime minister that has been accused of either corruption, of either high-handedness. And of course, people from Israel, they have the power to remove any prime minister that is not carrying out the people's wish. And don't forget that Benjamin Netanyahu is being accused of corruption, of three major accusations leveled against Netanyahu and the Supreme Court. Some are saying that this move is to save himself. And the Israelis came out in March to say, you can't truncate democracy. We are going to resist you. To the extent that Gallant, the Minister of Defense, spoke against the move by Benjamin Netanyahu. And immediately, the PM sacked him. And that sparked another uproar when we talk about the unrest in Israel. With me here in the studio to talk about this, to throw more light on this, he is a vibrant youth political analyst, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Gabriel Ehigato. Barrister, welcome to International Forum.
Thank you, Musi.
I appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're still expecting the likes of Barrister Henry Walzo. He's able to make it to the studio with journalists. They're going to share their thoughts and their opinions on this particular issue. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes.
Is it biting more than they can chew this time around?
I think, for me, when you take a critical political analysis and a closer microscopic view of the administration of the well-respected Israeli leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, I think he has overstayed his tenure.
Right.
Because over time, the issue and accusation of corrupt practices have been the hallmark of his government. And currently, there are about allegations against him. But the people and the government of Israel are more interested in what that to do with bribing and corruption. And they feel that Netanyahu is overstaying his tenure and he has overlooked the government and he's taking the people for granted. Because if we watch over time, I think about 21 years ago, around 1997, when he was first the prime minister then, he was accused of bribing and corruption. And before you know it, some of his allen came in, and at the end of the day, they were tried. But Netanyahu was removed from that allegation. Only his friends, his colleagues, his allies were being persecuted. So Israel have not forgotten that, at all. And now he's become the prime minister again. The same kind of allegation that happened about 21 years ago have come, to surface again. So to me, I think it's overstaying his tenure. I think the Israelis just want a fresh air. They want to have a fresh government. They want to have a government that will be handled by a new idea, a new idealist. And that's what the people are fighting for. If you take a look at the various protests that have been going on against him, he has not taken it seriously. He has not been able to address the people. So look as he's taking the people for granted. All more interested in is the continuation of his governance. Just immediately, having sacked the chief of defense staff, he had the cabinet meeting saying that 3 crises are currently going on, but he's more interested in the internal crisis, which had to do with his cabinet. So he wasn't interested in anyone that affected the people. He's not interested in the social well-being of the people. He's not interested in the social welfare of the people. He's only interested in the government within his cabal. So he gave reasons why he sacked the chief of defense staff. And he said he will not tolerate any other betrayal within his cabinet. So I wonder what he's trying to do. The country is on fire. The people have been protesting. Just a few days ago, he gave another to the police and the military to resist every protest, to resist the protesters. And they had to even use water cannon, just to chase them away. And so to me, I think what they have become a president who do not have the social consciousness of the people. They have become a president who do not have feelings for his people. They have become a president who do not care. The people are going to resist him.
Okay, now if you take a look at the statement of the prime minister, from what he said, he's all about balance of power. He said the Supreme Court is too powerful, it shouldn't be more powerful than the parliament. I don't think he's making a point. After all, the law should be subject to what the parliament says it is.
Which if you look at it, how come is all of a sudden that Benjamin Netanyahu just got to recognize the fact that the Supreme Court is supreme? Supreme Court have been existing over time. The judges have been there. As a matter of our appointment of judges, is part of the procedure of his own government. So how come suddenly he has got to recognize that the Supreme Court is becoming so powerful, therefore there need to be a judicial overhauling. And that's what the people are even campaigning against. That's what people are protesting against. That you cannot overhaul the judiciary now.
All right.
Maybe you could do that after you have left power, but not now.
Not now. Okay, you just don't want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. Don't go away. This is International Forum. We are taking a look at Israel's political unrest, the fate of Benjamin Netanyahu. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying. If you just joined us, it is International Forum. With me here in the studio, a legal practitioner, human rights activist, political analyst, both local and international politics is well-grounded. Barrister Eyigato Gabriel.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to have you here. So we will take a look at the balance of power strategy with Benjamin Netanyahu. We're saying that, look, giving the Supreme Court that power to remove a prime minister, it is too much. Now, to balance the power between the court and the parliament, that is the reason why he wants to make this move. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
No. What the people are offended about, it's not actually the idea of having an overhaul of the judiciary. It is how come it's coming from their president and it's coming now at a time where there's so much allegation against the president.
The prime minister.
So against the prime minister. Yes. So that's what the people are offended about. The people are not actually, quote unquote, against judicial restructurement or reform or what you may call it. But they are against, Netanyahu doing it now that he has so much allegation around his neck.
Okay, so you are not saying that it's not bad for him to create a balance, but the timing is wrong. Is that what you're saying now?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I'm in accordance with what the people are saying. I'm in accordance with the ideology of the people. You know, so he can't be talking about, you know, restructuring the judiciary now, where there are other basic issues, you know, because restructuring the judiciary is going to affect the prosecution of his case, of his allegations. It's going to affect this clearly. It's going to affect it. So that's why people are against. So if I were Benjamin, you know, Netanyahu, I would have waited for the persecution to go on, you know, and then see if we could, if I'm guilty or not guilty. Because the way he's acting, it looks as if he's guilty of those allegations, and he's trying to hold himself. He's trying to hold all structures that could defend him and, you know, and resolve him from going to jail. Because one thing about the Israeli government is that it is a government that is well structured. It is a government that believes in human rights. It is a government that believes in inherent, you know, democracy, the way it ought to be. And so over time, they are practiced that. They become model, you know, to the world. But if you look at what the Prime Minister is doing, all he's interested in is the fight against the Palestine, is the threat against the Iran, you know, trying to make, I mean, it's not today we know.
But still, it's to defend Israel's territorial integrity.
I mean, that have always been going on. We know that Israel is among the four devils. The Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. We know that. I mean, over time, that those issues are fight and, you know, external defense against external aggression have already been going on. But why now? So he's actually doing the right thing at the wrong time. Because the people are not happy with him. The people are tired of his government. The people are looking at him that he has become more, you know, autocratic.
But now people are saying that you taking part from the Supreme Court,
yes,
is like a draconian step.
Yes.
That he wants to become a dictator.
Exactly.
But he's saying no, the parliament should have more power than the court. After the parliament is the one that writes the law, that are sent to bills and all of that. I mean, it's like...
Listen, the Prime Minister is even blackmailing the people. If you listen to his speech on Sunday, when he was addressing his, you know, his cabinet. If you look at that speech critically, he was even accusing members of the cabinet as based on betrayal. That he is surprised that, you know, what he expected is that members of the cabinet should be the one with him, you know, to even fight the people. And those ones say, no, you are our leader. You are the Prime Minister. You should tell us the way to go. So I think Benjamin Netanyahu is betting more than cashew. A Prime Minister can be bigger than the government of a nation. The same government brought into power, and the same government also has the power to remove it. What the people are exercising is a clear, is a clear difference of what we call sovereign power. I mean, the level of political awareness is growing by the day. The level of political participation and socialization is growing by the day. So the people want to take over their government back to them. They want to take over power back to them.
But he's not saying that this is the work of detractors and opposition, and of course those threatening the security integrity of Israel.
Even the oppositions, or what have you, opposition government or what have you, are part of the people. And they are part of the people. If you look at the history of Israel, they are more, you know, pertaining to the nation than themselves. They are very dedicated fellows. We have never had any incident of civil unrest. This is the largest and the longest civil unrest since the history of Israel government.
Thousands of citizens coming down.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, a government will now have fighting some people. Before you know it now, you go give order that the army should go into the street and shoot protesters.
No, he didn't give that
order.
No,
this is make to that extent.
He hasn't given that order yet.
He may get to that extent because we are surprised that a man of his character and his integrity is being going beside the way. He's not listening to his people. He's not listening to their clamour. He's not listening to their yearnings. He's not listening to their demands. All he's interested in is saving himself as the Prime Minister of Israel. And the people are saying no.
The people are saying no. Now, if you take a look at this protest, and of course, Benjamin Netanyahu's reaction, I would say, order to counter the protest. I don't think he's really looking out for the interests of Israel, and the people are not aware of it yet.
Before now, what we expected from the Prime Minister was to have addressed the people. At the beginning of these allegations, at the beginning of this crisis, at the beginning of this protest, we expected him to have addressed the people. It's not like what we had in Nigeria here, where there was issues of scarcity, issue of naira crunch, and the president refused to address the nation. You are the Prime Minister, you are the head of government. You are saddled with the responsibility to address the people. And you see, this is what we keep complaining about. We have people in leadership who do not communicate with their people. You know, there's no meeting point between the people and the government. And that is a big problem. That's why we even have more in Africa, and that's what is responding to the world. That's what is responding to European nations. You know, the people who are in government do not interpret, they don't interact rather with the people. After election, the next thing you see, they disappear till 4 years later. And that does not go away. So there needs to be a constant interaction. Constant interaction. If Benjamin Netanyahu have done that, would that be at this mess that is taking Israel to? And if you look at it critically, the protest is gradually graduating into a full-blown crisis.
That's the fear right now.
Into a full-blown crisis.
A full-blown crisis.
Yes, because the people are offended. The people are angry. The people are compassionate. Not quite long. I mean, analysts are even giving that if this political unrest continues, it's going to affect the economic structure.
We are coming to the economy now. You just hold on. I want to take another break. When we return, we'll talk about how this is impacting on Israel at all fronts. Don't go away. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum focusing on what is going on right now in Israel, the political unrest and Netanyahu's fate. You talked about it's not being handled, or if not being handled, talking about the protest, it is going to lead to a full-blown crisis. Some politics are saying that it is already a full-blown crisis. Take it up from there.
No, I said that because the Prime Minister seems to be in charge of the government, you know. And another fear is this. Some group are already setting up somewhere. We have about 3 different groups who are already speaking against his government. You know, if care is not taken, I see what is currently happening in Libya, you know, coming up in Israel. Because where we have people taking over various regions, partitioning the country into their own regions, and say that we want to govern ourselves, we want to provide our own economic structure, we want to provide our own political structure.
You're talking about succession already.
Yeah, succession already. So that's the difficulty we have in not managing crisis. And I think that's what the Prime Minister is lacking at this affair. All you need to do is to calm the people down, address all the basic issues. In fact, you need to actually suspend the overhauling of the judiciary for the now. Because that is what is provoking the people. People are saying that, no, you don't have the moral rectitude to even talk about, you know, restructuring the judiciary, overhauling the judiciary. There are so much allegation before you. There are so much, so much issues surrounding your government that need to be clear off the table before you start talking about judicial overhauling. But he is pressing further that judicial overhauling will be more better, and that's going to create a greater crisis because there is already a high level of resistance from the people. All
right, talking about the high level of resistance for the people, don't forget that when this protest started, there was an attack by the Palestinians.
Yes.
He was able to repel them. And this is the reason why he's taking this thing to the next level, to use military police to disperse the crowd, is because of Israel's internal security. That this crisis might crack the security architecture of Israel. I don't think he's making a strong point.
If Tommy has seen that as a blackmail.
A blackmail or protecting Israel?
No. Protecting which Israel? I see it as a blackmail. Of course, I won't be surprised if the Palestinian government are trying to attract the Israeli government at this time. Because they feel that there's already crisis in Israel. It's an opportunity, to hammer out there, exactly, to strike them, be that they are a bit distracted. There's no doubt about that. But just as I said, these are what the Prime Minister has to bring to the table. He needs to talk to the people. We have an external crisis. Let's stop this first. Let's deal with that. Then we can come back to resolve all of those issues. But he's not doing that. He's trying to do so many things at a time. He's trying to, to face the people. He's not even face the people to resolve their demand. He's trying to shut the people out. He's trying to be in charge of the government. The center is trying to fight the Palestinian government. So you see, he's already distracted. The Prime Minister is already distracted. So because this is as a result of the crisis not being managed, have been issued from the beginning. And that's why he's in this mess. So he's trying to save his face and trying to save his side. The truth is that if anything happened to the Israeli government, if there's disjointment in the administration of the Israeli government, I feel that a lot of persons will not be happy with Benjamin Netanyahu because over time the government has become like a role model to other governors across the globe. So we are surprised that such a crisis is coming up now. And a man as intelligent as Benjamin Netanyahu is not responding to the people. So it's going to be a full-blown crisis if you go this way. And I will not be surprised, just as I said earlier, they're going to be practicing. So many persons, so many groups are going to speak up. Yeah, and they're going to say, man, we're going to, govern ourselves.
So now for what you're saying, the rejigging of the judiciary is like a selfish personal thing of Benjamin Netanyahu.
It's not what we should be talking about now. Because the judiciary over time have always had that supreme power. They have always had that supreme power.
But that's why he's trying to crack.
Not at this time. Not at this time. It's like, I mean, it doesn't have a moral rectitude. It's like a thief coming to the synagogue to preach the gospel of Christ. So it doesn't have the moral rectitude. That is the symbol. That is the boss that Benjamin Netanyahu is being involved now. So it should suspend the overall of the judiciary. Then it should face the crisis that before him. Okay. It should answer to the allegations that's before him.
Okay, now can one deduce that this might just be the beginning of the end of political journey of Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, that is what is almost since now. Because the people are overbearing, they are tired of the government, and just like I said, they need a fresh air. They want him to even step down. I mean, let somebody else come. So just like what will happen in South Africa. So there are so many crises around them. Especially after Tuba Becky, the other one came and there was so much crisis, and before you know it, they had to say, we don't need this government again. And they had to bring in the Syringa Ramaphosa government. So the people, actually have a fresh air to breathe. So that is what we expect from Israel. If not, it's going to be a full-blown crisis, and everybody is going to have the share of the cake.
Now let's take a look at the economy of Israel. Due to the protests, economic activities have been grounded in Israel. Now, what do you think this poses for Israel?
It shows that Israel is going to lose its place in the market ring of the world. Because when you look at it, nothing has actually been going on over time. For the past 2 weeks that this crisis has started, that this protest has started, nothing has actually been going on. Their level of economic relation with external bodies has also reduced. It's already affecting their level of internal generated revenue. So that economic crisis is not a crisis we operate to see. Because that is the heartbeat of the people. The economy is what drives the government of a nation. So when people do not pay tax, how do you get money to run the government? And that's what's happening in Israel. And that's what we expect, that the government, led by the Prime Minister, Bernard, should have addressed the people. Should have called the people that not resisting them. You can't resist the people. Not a nation like Israel that's so enlightened in terms of technology, in terms of education, in terms of social well-being, and what have you. So we expect that the Prime Minister should step down, or he should do the needful.
Do you think he's going to step down?
What?
Because he's been fighting so hard to come up to that position as the Prime Minister. Don't forget the battles he fought and won to be the Prime Minister.
Yes.
And he said he should step down.
If he doesn't step down, it shows that he's autocratic. It shows that he doesn't represent what he has been preaching over time. It shows that it's actually a reflection of what we have in the Arab countries, where we have governments who are so, dictatorial, who are so anarchic in nations, who are so, autocratic in nature. It shows that that's the kind of government he represents. And the Israelis we know allow that.
All right, now the information just getting to me right now is that he has addressed the people. He talked to them about the reason why he chose to sack the defense minister. Defense minister, do you think that is another mistake on his part, or he did it to make sure that he has someone that he can really trust in his cabinet?
When he sacked the defense minister, if you listen to that speech, you will say there was no concrete reason to have actually done that. I mean, the reason wasn't solid enough. He only talked about betrayal, talking about anarchy, that he's not going to tolerate anarchy with his cabinet. He's not going to, he won't accept it for anybody, or people having a leakage of his government principles and his plans and what have you. And I want to ask myself, the Israeli government and governor, is it a secret court? that needed to be.
Is it a secret court?
Yeah, I need to answer a question. Because the way it's going, it looks as if it doesn't want anybody to be involved in government. It looks as if it wants to shut down the people. It doesn't want the people, if it doesn't want to respond to the people or respond to their demand, that's what is happening. Right. It's becoming rascalious in governance. And the people are saying, no, we will not allow it. And that's what you're saying.
All right, now from what I just got right now, he has addressed the people, but some are saying that his address is just to buy time. He played with the people to please calm down. He has suspended right now the rejigging of the judiciary. Yeah. He said they're going to step back a little bit to see what they can do to balance power, because talking about balance of power. Do you think that address would be enough to prevent the protests from escalating beyond what is happening right now?
That is good because
the thing is that you talked about addressing the people.
Exactly.
And let's go to that right now that he has addressed them.
That's a right step in the right direction. But it's not just enough to talk. We need to see action.
Action.
We need to see action. We need to see the father. Yes, he's trying taking a bold step to do the needful. He's talking with the people. He's giving the people, the happenings of the government. He's telling the people the next plan. And it's carrying the people along. But a situation where you want to shut down the people who brought it to power, the people who voted into power, the people who elected into power, then you have a hard nut to crack.
Hard nut to crack. That is what Benjamin Netanyahu right now is really trying to manage the situation. And do you see other countries like the allies of Israel coming in to broker peace in this particular issue? Because the people, despite his address, they're taking a look at his next step. They are warming up also to go out in mass to say enough is enough. Do you see America interceding? Do you see Israeli allies saying, look, calm down. Let's see how we can really find a solution in all of this.
When we talk about the Israeli ally, the first and foremost Israeli ally we all know is the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm very sure that an average Israeli will not want the intervention of the United States. Even if, quote unquote, over time, that the United States and the Israeli government have a tie, over time. It's our technology and
security and otherwise, economy.
But we know what about our very beloved United Nations. United
States.
The United States will not carry out a service without having an interest that's going to get from it. The United States will not help a nation without having an interest of what they're going to get. So at this time, the United States have decided to help Israel to calm down the tension. What is actually happening in Israel that they want? What is in Israel that they actually want? Because that has been the body character, the body language of the United States government over time. In issues that have to do with resolving crises, in issues that have to do with responding to international aggressions and what have you. So, to me, I think that Netanyahu needs to put his house in order. He needs to do the needful. He needs to speak with the people. He needs to have a proper plan. They have the goals of the people. Because it's one thing for a government to have a plan. And it's another thing for a government to have a plan and not the plan, of the people being involved. So, to me, I think that Benjamin Netanyahu should do the needful. He should go back to the basis. He should meet with these people. He shouldn't be talking about external aggression now. Because the average Israelis know that they have about 4 enemies already there. They are conscious of that. It's part of their curriculum in the academics. So, I mean,
they are conscious of that, and they are fighting amongst themselves, protesting amongst them. I don't think they've made them vulnerable to these enemies.
Not doing enough. The government have not done well. The prime minister have abandoned the government. I mean, has abandoned the people. He's not that interested in speaking with the people. And that's what actually generated this crisis to this level. But now that he has taken a bold step, I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Now, what does this tell, what does this imply, rather, for the far-right party that Benjamin Netanyahu is, leading right now, politically speaking, in Israel?
Well, power belongs to the people. The people will decide in such a political party we see have life. Just like what we have in Africa now. Yeah. Do not forget what happened in Nigeria now, where we have a tough political party coming up against some of the seats in the National Assembly and what have you. Before it is going to gradually also skip into other nations. It's going to skip. So that's one thing about political enlargement. That's one thing about political civilization and socialization. So we will not be surprised that the ruling party in Israel tomorrow do not even have one seat in the parliament. I mean, it can happen when the people are tired of your governmental principles, when the people are tired of your structures, of your political antecedents and plans you bring into play. When it does not represent the interests of the people will have to take you out.
People really have to take you out if you are not in tandem with what they have envisioned when you talk about democracy, when you talk about rulership, when you talk about governance. It is all intertwined. Now let's take a look at Netanyahu as a person and of course Israel as an entity. The Netanyahu to stand for anything that benefits Israel. And right now he's been faced with 3 count charges leveled around corruption and of course other 2. Now do you think that if he doesn't rectify what he wants to rectify in the judiciary and the case goes back to court, do you see him escaping the judgment from the Supreme Court? Because it's like, a fight to finish.
Exactly. Exactly. Courts do not just give judgment against a person simply because, what I know about court.
You are a legal practitioner.
Yeah, what I know about court, it is difficult to have a malicious judgment against a person. We may have a malicious persecution, but to have a malicious judgment, I mean, that can be very extremely difficult. If yes,
are you speaking from the angle of a legal practitioner or speaking from sentiments?
Legal practitioner who have, by privilege, overview the judicial assistant to some extent. To some extent, if Benjamin Netanyahu is not scared, then he should go to court.
He should go to court.
Yeah, he should bring his evidence before the court. Let the court try him and see if he's guilty of the allegation or he's not guilty. Because the role he's playing is the role of an African leader.
But some are saying that with this situation on the ground right now, if he should go to the Supreme Court, he will lose the case. He will lose the case. Come on, we are all humans. We are all humans for crying out loud.
Is that he want to override the judiciary? Is that he want to restructure the judiciary? Oh, he want to restructure the judiciary first before he go and answer the allegation cases against him? No, it is obey before you complain. That is what we were taught in military, sir. Obey before you complain. Even if it's only government, it's not a military government. But you should obey the clarion call of the judiciary. He should respond and reply the allegations against him first before he can overrule the judiciary.
Someone like saying that he really wants to put that immunity clause around the prime minister so he will not be touched or regarded to as untouchable as long as he remains the prime minister. Do you think it's going to work right now for what is happening?
It's not going to have a headlight. There's not going to be a headlight on that at all. There's not going to be a headlight on that at all because over time the people have become overbearing. Once if you look at the protest critically, you will know that the people are serious about this. All they want is that they want Benjamin Netanyahu to live there. And let have a new government. Let have a new prime minister. Let have a new people with fresh ideas. People are tired of him. It is clear. Because I wonder now, it's not even that he's trying to, respond to the people and try to address it. This is what you are supposed to have done. I've been issue from the beginning. This is what you should have done earlier. If not, this question won't get to this extent. But now it has got to me, I think the best thing the prime minister to do is to step down.
To step down?
Yeah, step down.
I think he will step down.
Yeah, he should step down now. I believe he may step down because he's not an African leader.
No, because right now he has addressed them instead as a prime minister.
Which only African leaders do not step down. They don't step down. I say you step down there, step down on the hospital bed.
But Donald Trump didn't step down. He went for the election for the second time. He didn't step down despite the allegations around that.
If you also look at his government, to some extent, was filled up with, Americas with African regime.
Interesting. Quite interesting.
So it should start down and allow a new prime minister to come.
All right, now, before we call it a wrap on this show, because the protest, that's what really happened, transpired. You have some protesters being dispersed, water cannons, tear gas, you just name it, brute force, protesters, riot shield. And people like saying that this is not a military regime. Exactly. We are in a democratic regime. Things should be done decent. Now, those are the water cannons, dishing out hot steam and stuff like that. But do you see Israel coming out of this unhurt? Israel as a nation after this protest? Do you see peace returning to Israel? Or how do you think peace will return after this massive protest? This is the biggest protest so far recorded in the history of Israel as a nation.
We see, I think Benjamin Netanyahu have a moral duty.
Moral duty.
Moral, in quote, at the capital letters. A moral duty to actually stabilize what is happening in Israel. Because the crisis started with him. He is the author. And he has to be the finisher of that crisis.
The author and finisher of the crisis.
The crisis started with him. The Israel we know is not a crash, quote unquote, country.
Nation.
So it started with him. So he had to resolve it. He need to start them. He need to address the people, tell them their plan, and step them, and let a new prime minister comes in.
But now because stepping down is not in his pocket right now. It's not in his agenda. He doesn't want to step down. He wants to continue being the prime minister.
A leader who is pathetic with his people, we have to do that now. Because the crisis is getting out of hand. So you need to step aside. Let a new prime minister comes in. Maybe the people will. Because sometimes people anger can be that, just as we said, he has never addressed the people. He abandoned the people. He pushed them aside. And people had to go to the street. He thought after day one, they'll be tired. But he's surprised day one, day two, day three, and so on.
They're waxing stronger.
Yeah, exactly. So now he's surprised. He's not even start speaking to the people. When the people are already offended, when the people are already agreeing, when you have disparaged them before, I mean, it's going to be difficult to regain
so you're saying
the
that
confidence of the people.
Stepping down should be the ultimate
it should be his ultimate agenda. It should step down and let a new person come in. And then let the people see that, what we have now is a new prime minister, probably with a new idea. And then they see to resolve their crisis.
Wow.
Because I do not see the prime minister remaining. I do not see Benjamin Netanyahu remaining as the prime minister of Israel, and the Israelis will be happy and regain their calm.
The question now is, do you see this man stepping down? Because it's been resisted by the people, resisted also by the far left. Even the left with the pink color, they are saying enough is enough. You just can't truncate democracy. We are going to resist you. And they came out in thousands to say no. It got so disturbing that Benjamin Netanyahu had to instruct or give the order to policemen, to military personnel to disperse the crowd because of internal security. Because like what Barrister Gabriel rightly said, according to Israel, they are fists. They're surrounded rather by enemies. Don't forget also about the expansion of Israel, because this also is beginning to impede the expansion of Israeli territories towards, the Golan Heights, towards the disputed areas. You just name it. Because of all this, the fight, the disagreement, the protest is like, raging on. Do you see this as an advantage of the perceived enemies of Israel to cash in on?
Yeah, if the crisis continues, the people will be at risk. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
And there may be external aggression and external invasion. Even if that seems to be what Benjamin Netanyahu is using to sing to his people. But I think he's actually pushing Israel to the extent that they are saying, we don't mind if we die, but we should leave the government.
To leave the government.
So the people are so fed up. The people are fed up with his government. And they are offended by his constant, abandonment of the people ideology. And that's a big blow to him. So for me, as I said earlier, he should step down and let a new prime minister to come in. Okay. Maybe that will calm the people's tension.
All right, let's see if Benjamin Netanyahu will definitely step down after this crisis, or let's just watch out to see if him pausing, the process of reconstituting the judiciary, choose to put a stop to it right now, if he's going to calm the nerve of the people, or he's waiting for another opportunity to do what he wants to do. Some people are saying that he's buying time so that people just forget about it, if he's going to do it again, but we're just watching. But don't forget that Israel is fighting at so many fronts, in so many fronts, resistance here, trying to expand the territory, trying to protect themselves against external aggression, and now we have an internal disturbance, politically speaking. Do you think this will all go well for Israel? That's a big question for them to answer. And like what Barrister said, he said Netanyahu should step down. Do you see the man stepping down? Because he fought tooth and nail to retain the position of a prime minister, to even come back as a prime minister, to retain the position of the prime minister, because he has one thing as part of the back of his mind, the safety of Israel. Well, Barrister Eyegato, thank you so much for coming on today's show. I appreciate the wonderful analysis. So passionate about the Israel. I keep on wondering, are you an Israelite? Anyway, we'll do this again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.